PokeBabs! Hey guys, welcome back to PokeBabs. We're finally going into round 6 of the September PokeBeach tournament. And last round things did not go so well for us. We did fall to 2 and 3 in the tournament, which obviously is not good. But we still do have the opportunity for us to finish on even footing, 3 and 3 with a 500 record, which would be okay, I suppose. It's best we can do at this point. So we'll be happy to get what we can. We are going to start Combi here against EspeonROX, and we'll see what they've got for us. We see an Eviltal, which like to see lightning weak types, so that's nice to have that. It could be a Darkrai heavy deck though, which might mean that the Pikachu is not as useful. But even still, I figure it's probably good to get them down. So far, can't tell, but it doesn't seem like Trubbish will be particularly necessary. But it is a basic. We could throw it down on the bench for the moment, and we've got options for next turn as well. So we'll see what happens here. We didn't get an energy attachment, but everything else looked pretty good for the turn. So we'll see what Espeon has for us. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point what the matchup is. But if it's got Eviltal in it, that's good for us for the moment. At least we can probably get I mean, it's very possible for us to get a knockout next turn. We do see an N. But it wouldn't be very hard for us to get a knockout on this Eviltal next turn. So that is good. Even if they get a Fighting Fury Belt down, we can still take a knockout. And we do get, well, this isn't a great hand, but at the same time we did get End into double Raichu. So if we can top deck something or draw off this unknown, that'll be good. We see an Eviltal with the Fright Night ability going onto the bench, which is okay with us. And just an Oblivion Wing, not getting the knockout, no Fighting Fury Belt there. We do top deck a Sycamore, which is fantastic. And we could Unknown first if we'd like. Or we could just put down the Skyfield and bench both the Unknown and the Jirachi. That would probably be good as well. Don't really want to draw beforehand just in case it's something that we don't want to discard. So we will draw. We do get a double colorless, thankfully. We still don't have a way to retreat out of the Combi. So hopefully we can get something off Unknown or Shaman. We could set up right now. That'd give us probably the best draw. It's hard to tell, but we'll draw 2. And hopefully we're looking for a Vespiquen or some sort of way into a Vespiquen. We don't get one right off the bat, but we do get a Floatstone. And instead of chanting it, we will just retreat with the Floatstone on the Combi. Obviously, it's not going to be as useful in the future, but I would rather do that while we can. We're going to Acrobike here. We do get double colorless or Trubbish. We'll definitely toss the Trubbish, grab a double colorless. And we have an attachment for next turn. We're going to Unknown again, just getting more Pokemon in the discard for Vespiquen later in the game. And we get another Combi, which is great as well. So we're really getting a nice setup at this point. And we will take this knockout on Eviltal, doing 280 damage. Wow, that's a lot. And we'll draw a prize. We get a Versus Seeker. So, not the best prize, but it's okay because we may end up just digging really deep into our deck and Sycamore next turn. But it also wouldn't be surprised if we got End again. So we'll see. We do see a Perilous City come down, so we are going to have to bump a bunch of Pokemon. I'm actually okay with that, though, I think, especially since we have a Skyfield in hand. I'm totally comfortable with discarding the Pokemon that I'm not too concerned about. So very happy to get rid of the Shaman. We'll also get rid of Trubbish and Jirachi and also the Combi with the Floatstone, since it did have 30 damage on it. So actually not bad for us at all, especially considering that at the moment we can still take a knockout on this Eviltal for just one more bench Pokemon. So I think it's looking good at the moment. We'll see if our opponent can get down another basic. If not, we almost surely have won the game. In fact, we would win the game because we could Versus Seeker for a Bridget. But we do see an Ultra Ball. Even still, we can do the Versus Seeker for the Bridget play, barring something like an N. And we really would not want to get end here because we do like the fact that we've got those Skyfields in hand. See, it looks like they are playing Mew as well as Zoroark. So it looks like it might be one of those sort of dark box decks playing the Mew. And we do see a setup for 2 cards. We see another Fright Knight Yveltal coming down. So far everything weak to Lightning, which is great. We do see a Fighting Fairy Belt coming in the active, so we will need more basics, but thankfully we do have that Bridget, like I said. And then we can counter the stadium again if need be. We see they do miss double colorless energy, so they're not even going to be able to hit us this turn, and a miss on a max elixir, so that's great. Excuse me. We will definitely put down the double colorless. We'll put down Skyfield, and like I said, we could go for the Bridget this turn. Probably a better use of our Versus Seeker since we're gonna get the attachment anyway, and this way we can also grab another Pikachu so that we can evolve this Raichu that we just got off the top deck. So we will Circle Circuit, doing 240 damage. Wow, we're doing a lot of damage this time, this game, and we are going to take a knockout, grabbing our second special charge. We've already discarded the one, but I'm not sure that is even going to matter in this game. As we see Yveltal come up in the active, and we see another Yveltal come onto the bench, another Oblivion Wing one. So far this is seeming like it's going to be a good matchup for us. And we see an N out of our opponent, which makes sense here. And we're happy to see that too, because our hand would have eventually involved Sycamoring away some stuff we probably didn't really want to at the moment. We do get a Versus Seeker though, which is fantastic. We do get that special charge back, but like I said, I don't think it's going to matter. And we get a Skyfield just in case they bump our stadium. Let's see if our opponent attached to the bench, so we'll see if they have any way of attacking this turn. See if Fighting Fairy Belt go onto the bench. And we do see the stadium swap, so we'll probably just we could probably discard either a Combi or a Pikachu, but we'll go for Pikachu because we've already got a lot in the discard, so we're working our way toward discarding, or toward the Vespiquen having the most power, especially if they're going to be playing Parallel City later in the game. Not sure if they play more than one of those. So we'll definitely grab something with this level ball. We could grab either a Raichu or a Vespiquen. Just depends on what kind of attackers we want to get set up. But also, grabbing the Raichu could allow us to, get rid of more Pokemon in the event of a Parallel City being turned our way. Instead, I'm going to grab the Unknown and play down the Skyfield, and we're actually going to use the Unknown. And we do get a Vespiquen. Otherwise, I could have used that Ultra Ball to grab something else. Instead, we'll just evolve to Vespiquen, which works great, and we can Sycamore away this hand. So things are going smoothly. Hopefully, we can get another energy attachment. And it looks like we do miss the energy. We can level ball again, thin things out before our Acrobike. We'll grab a Raichu, and we'll definitely evolve into Raichu here. Now we can Acrobike as well. See if we can get a double colorless energy to attach this turn. That would be good. Obviously, 2 double colorless would be very bad, but we see an Ultra Ball, so that works pretty well for us. We can discard the Garbodor, discard maybe like Bridget, which probably won't be useful, or Ranger. Probably neither one is going to be particularly useful. And we can grab a Vespiquen with this, and then we're just getting really, really set up, and I think we're in a really good situation. Again, we didn't get an energy attachment that turn, but I don't know how important that really is. We're going to Circle Circuit for the knockout for 200 damage. So keeping up the high damage this game. And, excuse me, we get an Unknown off the prizes, which is definitely nice. Late game, it could help us draw into something we need. We see an Yveltal EX come down, and I'm just checking to see how many Pokemon we've got in the discard. We do see a Lysander on a Combi, and then actually opting not to attack, so holding off here. This works fine for us. We can attach to the active. Then in worst case scenario, we can just retreat manually, but we do get a Vespiquen, so we'll be able to retreat into a Raichu and attack with a Raichu for a knockout, and then our opponent really doesn't have anything they can do to respond, I don't think. Now we are down to only 4 cards in deck, so just something to keep in mind. We can grab this Raichu here if we want to, and just so we don't top deck into it. I could play this Unknown here. I think I will, just for the sake of making it so that I can't Lysander it up. Now obviously if our opponent did play a 1-of Bunnelby and was able to burrow twice, they would win, but I don't have any reason to believe that they do. So I'm not very concerned about it. Of course, that would be a really disappointing way to lose this game, but yeah, that's definitely not what I'm expecting here. And even still off 3-card hand, it would be difficult. We do see a Sycamore out of our opponent, so we are going to be able to maybe see a little bit more of their deck. So another Yveltal come down, so it looks like it's definitely an Yveltal heavy deck. So far I think we've seen 6 Yveltals, and our opponent says GG because they don't really have any way to get around it. Wonder if they were digging for something like an Enhanced Hammer. So that would be, it's interesting to note that they did dig. Maybe they weren't sure if they had any opportunities, but just something to be wary of is the fact that they could play Enhanced Hammer, and that could have been the reason why they held off. Alrighty, so we're gonna go into game 2 of this final round here, and maybe we can just win this in a clean 2-0. Our opponent, now noting the energy types there, we've seen they also have a Psychic type, which was at least the Mew, maybe a Hoopa as well, and Colorless, which is obviously going to be that Shaman. So we will see what they have in store for us. Can they do something to make a comeback here, or is it going to be another one-sided battle? And we could start Trubbish or Combee here. I guess we'll probably start Trubbish, just because of the way that an Oblivion Wing Yveltal can knock out a Combee. Don't really like having that being a possibility with the Fury Belt. They start Zorua, so we are going to maybe see a little bit more of the diversity in their deck this game. Now, the good thing is that Zoroark, even though obviously we fill our bench and it will be an efficient attacker for them, it does only have 100 HP, so we can probably knock it out fairly easily with either of our main attackers. We do see a Float Stone come down onto it, and then them ending their turn. Now, we don't have any way of knocking out this Zorua this turn, unfortunately, but we do have a decent hand. We thankfully do get Acrobike, or off that Acrobike we get an N or a Sycamore or an Attach to Energy. And even though obviously Raichu was an important attacker in that first game, I don't really mind discarding one of them. I think we'll be okay. And looks like for next turn we're going to have a pretty decent hand as well. We'll see if we can fill that last bench spot. We've got another Unknown. We'll just use Farewell Letter. And let's see if we can get another basic down. Okay, we get Garbodor. Not a big deal. And we aren't going to obviously bench the Shaman, especially without us being able to draw. And then next turn we'll be able to evolve, attach energy. I don't know if I would even want... I guess I actually probably do want to put down the Garbodor now, when I think about the fact that they do play that Zoroark and also Mew. I think getting a Garbodor developed would actually be pretty good in this matchup, just to really limit what they can do. If they can't stand in with Zoroark, I think it could be sort of a big deal. So we'll see. We just see a Parallel City early this time. Probably going to discard a Combee, but obviously that's not really what we wanted to see. So, well, I did already discard a Raichu, so I could actually discard a Pikachu. I think that would be fine. Kind of just, keeping in mind I've discarded a 1/1 line now, so just something to keep in mind. And hopefully we don't top deck a Raichu, I guess. So we see another Zorua coming down, 2 Eviltals, and a Shaman, so they're getting a lot more of their board set up. We'll see if they can hit any max elixirs this turn. We do see an N, which is not a big surprise out of our opponent after that. But I'm okay with this, definitely. So we'll see if we can get a Skyfield maybe. We don't have one off the bat right here. Other question is, are they going to get a Zoroark? Will they retreat or will they attack? Zoroark can get a knockout on this Trubbish. So we'll see if that if they want to be aggressive and just take the knockout right now. See, they fail a Trainer's Mail. And we do see the Mind Jack for the knockout. So, I guess we'll send up Pikachu, I suppose. I mean, there's more Vespiquen in the deck, so maybe a Vespiquen's safer. But, yeah. And obviously, we have an Ultra Ball. So we're going to probably Ultra Ball and then Sycamore. Depending on top deck, I suppose. So we could Ultra Ball, grab a Raichu, and then assume that we'll probably pick up a Vespiquen somewhere along the way. And I'll put down Unknown. We'll draw with the Unknown first, just to see what we can get. And we do get a double colorless, so that's pretty nice. We'll put that on the active. We can Ultra Ball here, discarding a Garbodor and a Bridget. And we'll grab the Vespiquen. We may actually try and take the knockout with Vespiquen, just so that we can save our Raichus for their Lightning Weak attackers. And we could use the Shaman here. We could also end our Sycamore, but the reason I want to use the Shaman is because I want to try and find Skyfield. And we do find a Skyfield. We do also find a double colorless. So probably the better option at this point would be go to... Well, we could either end or we could... we could actually bridge it. But we don't have the Raichu. So... Let's see here. I think if we have another Unknown in the discard, it might give us enough for the knockout. So that would be good. And unfortunately, I can't check my discard right now while I'm doing this. But hopefully it's enough. But yeah, these seem like good options. Like I said, I think that the Garbodor could be a good thing to develop this game. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 with the discarded Unknown, which is just barely enough to take the knockout with Be Revenge, which is great. We also get a Vespiquen there, so we'll be able to evolve there. And I think this is actually quite a good turn for us. We are getting the knockout while preserving the Pikachu and the energy. So we will see here what can our opponent do to retaliate. They do send up Yveltal, which is probably just because if they want to go for Mind Jack, they have they can just stand in. We see the Stadium Swap. Unfortunately, we did see the Stadium Swap before I had the opportunity to get a 6th Pokemon, so Shaman will remain there for the moment. Maybe later we will Sky Return with the Shaman. We do see a double colorless come down, and it looks like they're going for the Zoroark play, or at the very least, they may. I mean, maybe they won't rush in, or they won't stand in this turn. Maybe they'll wait. I'm not sure, but at the very least, they didn't attach to an Yveltal, so that's interesting. We also see a Parallel City, but they did already play a Stadium this turn, so they can't play another one. So, something to keep in mind for next turn. If they do play it, though, for next turn, we could bump our Shaman, which would be good. And we just see a pass. So this is good, definitely. We can attach an energy. We can evolve into Garbodor. And what I really want to do is get a Floatstone this turn, because if we can shut off their abilities, that would be really great. I also don't like Sycamoring away 2 Versus Seekers, so I'd rather just go for the N, and off the N we get a fantastic hand, mostly just because we have a supporter for next turn, we have a Skyfield, and we also have the Float Stone. And our opponent doesn't have the stadium anymore, so I'm okay with going for the Float Stone, or with putting out the Sky Field. We do still have one more left in our deck. And so I think, let's see, we don't have enough Pokemon to be Revenge for a knockout. We could actually just Intelligence Gathering, but I'd rather keep the pressure on. If we did Intelligence Gathering, we'd still need 2 more for a knockout, and yeah, so I think this is fine. The good thing is that they can't stand in now. They would have if they had had the Zoroark, but now they can't. And so they're kind of stuck in the active. They could put down a Float Stone if they can get one. Although, I would guess it's probably not their most preferable target for a Float Stone. So we'll see if our opponent can get off any sort of attack this turn. Another card that's going to be important in this coming up, I would assume, is Lysander. Being able to bring up Yveltal EX and get a knockout with Raichu. Or getting a knockout on a Shaman. So we'll see how things go on that front. And yeah, for next turn, we're probably just going to Sycamore and hopefully find some more stuff to set up. We do have 3 energy on the field already, which is great. Being able to get attachments consistently is pretty key for this deck. I mean, you don't need one every turn, but certainly the more you can get, the better. Because then once you start getting knocked out, you can start playing those special charges. We do see a Mew come down, which at the moment is useless. And so we do get an Ultra Ball, which is great. We can grab something before we Sycamore now. I think we want to probably grab the Raichu at this point. We could grab something that we just want to discard, but I think at this point we're doing okay. And I'd rather make sure that we have the Raichu so they can't pick off a Pikachu. And then we're going to Sycamore. Now, we don't have an energy as of yet, which, like I said, is probably okay. Although, to be honest with you, the best play right now would probably be to Sky Return with Shaman, because it would do the 30 damage for the knockout. Looks like we're probably not going to have that happen, though. We'll grab the Jirachi. I will bench it so that in case they switch stadiums, we can now bump our Shaman. And I guess we'll just be Revenge for a knockout. So we are leading on prizes at the moment now. The good thing is our opponent's probably eventually going to have to attack with an EX, and then we can kind of get even more ahead on the prize trade. The question is whether or not they can knock out a Shaman. So if they have a Lysander here, that would be pretty big. Yeah, it'd be pretty big if they had a Lysander here on Shaman. We just see a Mind Jack doing 190. So they do get in a significant amount of damage, but it doesn't really matter to us. Just fuels our Vespiquen. And we do draw a level ball, so we might as well play that down. We actually don't really have anything that we can grab with it. It's kind of awkward. And our Lysander is in the deck. So we'll grab a Raichu. We'll bench a Pikachu. We could play our special charge now, but I'd obviously rather wait till we have 2 to put back in the deck. So, I know we don't have any more basics, but I kind of want to hold on to the Raichu, hold on to the the special charge. So I think I might just burn the Bridget. And I mean, it does kind of show our opponent that we don't have anything else left in deck, but I'm not really concerned about that. I don't think we need any more. And I think we do have some still left in our prizes. So we'll see if we can grab something here. We do get a Versa Seeker. I suppose that's fine. We may end up just Sycamoring it away. But if we get End at this point, always good to have more of them in our deck. And the Mew comes back up, so now we are leading in prizes once again. Is our opponent going to be forced to attack with Yveltal is a question. If they can get a Fighting Fairy Belt on their Yveltal, Then we still need another bench Pokemon, which at the moment we actually can't produce. We do see a Lysander though, and so they could Lysander or Shaman here. And wow, we actually see them go after the Raichu, which I can kind of understand the play, but I don't think... We also see a Fighting Fairy Belt come down. I can kind of understand the play since it's in our attacker, but I don't know. I maybe would have been more inclined... I guess they're just thinking now we don't have a response for a knockout necessarily. And to be honest with you, we actually don't. Reason being, we don't have more basics in the deck, so we actually need another Pokemon. So maybe we were a little too telling with that Bridget last turn, showing our opponent that we didn't have anything else to grab. But, yeah, so I mean, we're not going to be able to get the knockout this turn, just purely because we can't hit that high of damage right now with our Vespiquen. So we can see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we're only doing 140 at the moment, which is obviously shy. And even if we got the double colorless here, we still wouldn't have enough to get the knockout with Raichu. It would only do 200 damage, which again, I can hardly believe I'm saying only 200, but it's true. We'll level ball here just to, again, I just want to check and see what's in my deck. We do have those 3 double colorless, so if we actually Sycamore this turn, it is nearly impossible for us to miss the double colorless. And we do hit 2 of them, so we are going to attach to Shaman, and this way we can get the prize liability off our board. I think our opponent did just miss their opportunity last turn to try and take prizes. And I will send up probably Garbodor, just because don't really care about it at this point. If our opponent is able to knock it out, that's okay with us. It just adds Pokemon to the discard pile. And if they aren't able to knock it out, then we'll just retreat out. We do see another Lysander going after Raichu, so actually a pretty strong play from our opponent if they can get the knockout. Looks like they are going to. We'll see what they decide to attack with. Going for the Y Cyclone, so maybe not feeling like their Yveltal is so safe. But let's see. Do we have a way? Can we get the knockout this turn is the question. So we've got 3, 7, let's see, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're doing 160 at the moment. So that means we need to do 180. Or we need to do 180. So we are actually going to be able to do that with an Ultra Ball here, discarding 2 Pokemon. We'll probably discard a Shaman and... well, I'm actually thinking I'm probably just going to discard a Shaman and a Raichu. And the reason for that is just because at this point Vespiquen's just doing more damage, like... than a Raichu ever can at this point, just because we can't get enough benched Pokemon down. So the Combee's actually a better attacker. And our last Combee's prize anyway. We are going to attach, and then this way we'll be able to get the knockout, which is great. And we also have a Lysander for next turn. So if they try and stall out a little bit with another, like if they can fight a Fairy Belt, or if they can get like a if they can get like an Enhanced Hammer and a knockout, that type of thing, Enhanced Hammer, knockout, and an N, something crazy like that. And I think that's really our opponent's only chance. The other thing they could do is put a Fighting Fury Belt down. If they take the knockout at that point, if they could put down a Fighting Fury Belt, Enhanced Hammer, and N, that would actually be a really strong play. Although we always have stuff like Jirachi that can buy us a turn under an N. So, and I'm not really sure if our opponent would really want to end with only 2 cards left, but I think they really have to. I don't think they really have much option. I mean, they don't know that I have a Sycamore in hand, but if I were them, I wouldn't feel comfortable only, I don't know, I just would feel really fragile without being able to end. I would assume my opponent probably has a way to discard 1 more Pokemon. Of course, that's all assuming that they get a Fighting Fairy Belt. If not, if they can't get a Fighting Fairy Belt, then it doesn't matter at all, because we'll just take a knockout. So did you see a Professor Sycamore? They didn't get anything with their Ultra Ball. We see them actually discarding a Max Elixir and a couple energy, and they play a Max Elixir, so I'm not sure why they did that. They could have just played the Max Elixir, but they do hit a Dark Energy, so kind of interesting there. See a Fighting Fairy Belt. So they did get the Fighting Fairy Belt, so I imagine that will go on Yveltal. Obviously, it's the only way they can really survive. And we do just see a Y-Cyclone. So they are going to get the knockout. They are going to move... Okay, so they do move the double colorless, which I think is the smart move, but it just doesn't matter at this point. We are able to get the knockout. We could either Lysander, or I think the more fun option would actually be to Sycamore away our entire deck and take the knockout. So let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Or sorry, yeah. 16, 17, 18, so we'll just attach another double colorless, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but we are going to Sycamore away our last two Pokemon so that we can get our knockout here with our Be Revenge. And how much damage are we going to do here? Looks like we're going to do 220 damage, so more than enough damage to take the knockout, even with the Fighting Fairy Belt. There's our last Pikachu out of the prizes. And we do end up getting 3-3 in this tournament, so a little bit of an uptick at the end there. We did do a ton of damage, 850 damage that game compared to Yveltal deck, only doing 590. And Vespiquen as that MVP, great late game attacker. And so I think, you know, I mean, it's a decent showing for the deck. I think that with Karen, it's going to get going to be a lot more inhibited. It's just going to be a lot harder deck to do well with. Something else I just want to kind of point out that is a good card that a lot of people have been liking playing in Vespiquen decks. It's actually this Klefki here. I'm not sure why it's not really loading for us here, but it's this Klefki with Wonderlock ability. And it says that once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard all cards attached to it and attach the Pokemon card to one of your Pokemon as a tool card, and then it prevents attacks of Megas for that turn, and then you discard it. So kind of cool. Some people will put that on an unknown, and in order to increase their damage output with the Vespiquen. Also, it's just good against Mega decks. So something to keep in mind. Hope you enjoyed this tournament. We did end up going 3-3, and we'll see you with another video next time. Bye.